Welcome to the Alternative Acoustic Podcast. I'm Chris of the Chris Woods Groove Orchestra, and this podcast is brought to you by Ibanez UK. In this episode, I chat with acoustic guitarist Gwenifer Raymond. Now, the music that Gwenifer creates is really inspiring and, quite frankly, very unique and original. Now, there's two seemingly opposing genres that come up in this conversation a lot that I think give an insight into the fantastically vibrant sounds that Gwenifer creates. Those two genres are American primitive and punk. Now, I reckon most people know what punk is, maybe understand a little bit of the philosophy behind it, know some of the music, but American primitive is a different one. There's one particular artist that usually gets mentioned, and we certainly mention a lot here, who's John Fahey. And if you haven't heard American primitive music, after this episode, you're definitely going to want to dive into it. I hope you enjoy listening. Have you just been in America as well?
Yeah, I just came back Monday. Yeah, I'm going back in a week. About just over a week. Yeah.
Okay, that's insanely exciting. Is that kind of like super cool to you, or is that like a thing that
it's pretty cool? It's not my first rodeo there anymore.
Really?
So,
how many times have you?
It's still always fun. I don't know, 5, 6.
Oh, really? Right. Oh no, that's kind of like that's the norm for you then, right?
Yeah, it's getting there.
Okay. Is there quite an American? Because the American primitive thing, obviously, is that actually? Do you think there's quite a market in America for it in that sense, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, it's this kind of the obvious connection to Americana within there. Yes, I mean, I think it's sort of a natural, and then, there's a lot of people in America, right? So there's a lot of people to play to. Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of basically the Americana interest replaces what would be more the folk interest in the UK. So it's slightly different kind of, I don't know, I'm going to say markets is a horrible word, but that's kind of the two, I guess that's the equivalent, I would say, in America to what your kind of audience is in the UK, as well as all the avant-garde sort of crowd, which is kind of the same crowd.
Yeah, interesting, because like the folk thing in the UK as well, like folk clubs and folk nights, there's this real sort of span of how they work as well, isn't there? And how sort of folk it is, as in English, Irish, Welsh, Scottish folk, or whether it's just acoustic music and sort of more progressive and let Americana in and stuff. Is it a little bit more, is it quite open-minded over there in that sort of scene within Americana and folk, if you like, or?
Yeah, I kind of think so. I mean, I'm kind of sort of, I guess in a way, I'm sort of lucky musically, genre-wise, is that I don't really fit in any specific genre, which means I can kind of justify playing almost any festival, which is quite nice. So yeah, I mean, I think it's all pretty. I've only ever once been told off by an old dear at a folk festival for not like introducing the songs and all that stuff. Usually, it's pretty calm.
Why I really dig your music, I think partly is that sort of John Fahey American primitive thing, but when I was sort of constructing what I was gonna maybe talk about a little bit with you, even though I'm fabulously disorganized and don't have like a long list of questions or anything like that, but when I was thinking about what to sort of say to you, I was gonna try and communicate like what I really love, the sort of dynamic spectrum of what you do. There's this, beautiful, delicate, quiet thing down at one end, and then at the other end, it's just brutal. It's more like brutal and far more brutal than John Fahey and all that. You're just like, really sort of punishing the instrument almost.
It is definitely a love-hate relationship.
But then I read your, because I thought like I should be slightly professional and actually read your biog rather than just sort of from what I'd seen. And I read the whole sort of punk thing. Is there like, can we talk sort of philosophy of that? Because there's this, I kind of exist in this world of trying to make, in my dynamic spectrum, it's like I want my quiet to be beautiful and sparkly, but I want my loud to be as loud as I can go without the guitar sort of grunting or buzzing or anything like that. Whereas in my head, maybe there's like more of a punk thing of just like it being a visceral, expansive sound. I'll shut up. You talk.
Yeah, that's good. No, yeah, I mean, I certainly think viscerality is certainly a thing from like a sonic perspective. I was always more interested in kind of like the almost like noise, the noisy side of things. Especially even within punk, I was never really an oi punk. I was more kind of interested in sort of slightly left field punk,
like textures
and
like sensations rather than like words and.
Exactly, yeah, and just that sonic quality of something being kind of out of control. I mean, I like sometimes the guitar to knock and buzz, and for me that's kind of the equivalent of like, I don't know, if you're an electric guitar player, you're doing feedback or something like that. It's kind of, I think it's like emotionally an equivalent sort of thing in that you're producing.
Yeah, like screaming or crying or voice breaking, or it's just like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's it's just nice to explore all the things that you can do, because they have different, they evoke different things in the piece and in the user and all that. In the piece and the user, in the piece of music and the listener.
The user of your music, I like that. That's like
yes, the user. Yeah, that's my computer programming background coming
out. Really? Wow. Okay, that's really fascinating. Okay, so maybe we could focus in on that sort of, and you mentioned programming as well, because I kind of think of that like some of these musical elements as like parameters, I suppose, of control, and it just seems to me that like you've got a more expansive sort of dynamic range than most, which I think makes it. Do you mind? And not to put you on the spot, but can you sort of play a little and show people that sort of...
I don't know, I was just making some shit up.
That's it.
Okay. Something like that.
Amazing, instant sort of power. And what like tunings are you dabbling in, Gwen? What's the sort of...
well, that's in D minor right now, but I use a lot of C minor and some G minor, mostly minor keys. Occasionally I'll go into a major, but not very often.
Okay.
Mostly the minors.
And is that in? Do you just, when you're writing and stuff, do you think theory and stuff like that, or do you just tell me?
No, I don't know. I have no theory. I can't even read music.
Okay, fantastic. Well, let's talk about that then. So how do you, how do you create them?
I just played the guitar and it sort of comes out, really.
Podcast over. Good.
Yeah. I mean, you're kind of writing things with a sort of sense of, I guess writing things with a sense of like narrative, right? Rather than being like theory of, this is in a modal mood. I don't know that shit. But, in terms of like, let's bring it down so he can come, and then we bring it back up, and then he needs to kind of, do something that sort of reflects what we did earlier in the. It's like a movie in a way, right? Where you have sort of Chekhov's guitar riff and stuff like that.
Do you think you're articulating that in your head, or are you articulating that because you're sort of being forced to explain the process? Do you know what I mean?
So I think it's half and half. I think probably earlier in my sort of composition, I probably wasn't thinking about that, but now I'm a little bit like, there's a sort of sense of this. I need, if I'm writing a piece of code, I am thinking, this needs to do something, different now, right? In order to change the, I don't know, to maintain the interest, right, of what it is. It is like story. It is like story, right? And there are sort of arcs to it. I think that is a semi-conscious thing.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, you going back to the angry old deer that you said kicked off at you for not sort of introducing the narrative of the tale of, you know, something gory happening and like that. Do most of your compositions actually have that within them? Then there is actually like
no, they're more abstract than that.
Okay.
There's not really I mean, once in a while it will be kind of a story, although it sort of tends to find its own way, even if you start off with all the good intention of actually pursuing like a particular narrative. A lot of the time it's more, it's a kind of a more abstract thing, but you have the sense of, you know, where the story wants to go, even though there isn't a narrative to it. Like it's a story of notes, I guess. I don't know.
I think loads of people who listen to this probably, well, I think lots of people probably create their own music, but I know a lot are just sort of dabbling with that and maybe lack confidence in it. And I think so often, like, music theory is at the forefront of it because it's like a way of explain. It's kind of it's almost like an easy way of explaining how you've created something, even though it's obviously vastly complicated. But can we try and explain how you create stuff without the theory? Because I feel like that's like it's like the golden ticket, because that's what I think that's actually what most people want, because the most, you know, we can explain modes and scales, but it's so much harder to articulate how you create like something that maybe doesn't even have a story. And you said you just play guitar, and I get that, but
yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's kind of how it works. Just sit and play a lot of guitar, and you kind of solve it. It's almost like a jigsaw puzzle sometimes, where you kind of got cool little pieces that you feel like they can go into one another, but sometimes trying to assemble it, it's like problem solving, and that really is just playing the guitar until you accidentally figure out, oh, this can do this, and that's cool. But beyond that, it's just, I guess, I don't know. I guess there's vibes. You kind of get that. And if you play guitar for a long time, you do get that instinct of, hey, you know, this wants to do this. And for me, I mean, you've sort of picked up. I've always picked up pieces of pieces of theory, or rather, discover them accidentally and don't know what they are. But you know, I know. I always used to call it. I used to do it in my old punk band days as well. I would always call it. Oh, I like to play the wrong note, which makes it sound kind of off kilter. And I'm sure there's theory for that, right? It's definitely, I think it's just called playing like a jazzy chord.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like all of that stuff is again, it's half discovered. You've just got your bag of tricks, really. And if you're playing guitar to discover a song, you kind of find more tricks as you're going as well. It's not very useful, is it?
No, it is. I think your jigsaw analogy is pretty cool, because it's a jigsaw as well. It's something that you just play, right? You don't sort of, if someone said, how are you doing that jigsaw? You wouldn't be like, well, because there's so many infinite number of shapes that click together. You just do it, don't you? You just experiment and try.
Well, you do the outside first.
So that again.
Do the outside first, unless you're a sociopath.
I wonder, I reckon people listening to that will, if they're like at the beginning of composing, creating, making stuff, they'll probably think that takes confidence, because you're saying like you're deliberately, I don't know, maybe there's a punk vibe to that as well, because you're saying, I think you said like you deliberately put in the wrong note.
But it sounds good, right? It's more that like, you know, when you're playing in punk bands, you have a kind of basic idea of sort of major, you know, your major, you know what I mean? But then if that sucks, right? But you can go, it's that's different, right? It's more, I guess that's in those sort of little tricks, and it's also like it lets you kind of purposefully leave things in a unpleasantly resolved way, or at least a not
unpleasantly resolved. I like that.
Yeah. it's this kind of more fun, I guess. And but it depends what you're trying to write. If you're trying to write a beautiful, kind of bucolic tune, which is, nothing wrong with that necessarily.
Bucolic. That's an awesome word. That is. Thank you. I'll put that in my pocket and use it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The Alternative Acoustic Podcast is proudly supported by Ibanez UK. Now, the Ibanez V Series has long stood for high quality at seriously affordable prices, available in all kinds of finishes, shapes and sizes. Now, I got to try all of them out recently, and a particular favourite of mine was the incredible Mini, which is the perfect travel size guitar. I mean, it sounds way bigger than it looks. The entire V Series and all Ibanez guitars are available now at Gear for Music, so make sure you go and check them out. You mean the sort of like sparkly and loveliness?
Yeah,
nice.
I mean, that's fine. But if you want to kind of, if you're trying to attempting to write something that's somewhat more of a seedy underbelly, then you need a sort of a seedy underbelly note,
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I like that. There were just so many lovely descriptions. Unpleasantly resolved or seedy underbelly. They're all just like wonderful musical descriptions of things. Because I sometimes find, like, I really like those more. I describe them as like colourful sounds. They're more sort of flavoursome to my, I don't know, brain or whatever. But I think I often wonder whether sometimes to listeners that sort of colour it's always sounds dark because it's unknown, because it's not like as predictable, and that sort of like if you've ever like listened to really far out sort of avant-garde stuff, even though it's not necessarily trying to be like the soundtrack of a horror movie, it kind of comes across in that way because it's not.
If you don't have any theory, you sort of figure them out for yourself, and it can make life harder, but also I think it can kind of unlock kind of relying on theory as like a crutch. Mm-hmm. You just sort of, it's really easy to break the rules when you don't know the rules, right?
You're not going to always go to the predictable choice. You're going to find something new.
It's just what sounds cool to me, basically. Mm-hmm. And I've got really bad attention span, so I need to keep myself entertained as much as anything else.
Fantastic. No, that's a similar. For me, I got trapped with theory in a sort of cracking the code and thinking I'd cracked the Da Vinci Code, and then that became like a complete and utter cage. And then I started tuning my guitar differently so that when I played DCG, it wasn't DCG and it sounded awful, and then discovered new stuff. But then I found jamming with musicians like a bit of a nightmare, because for the first 10 minutes I'd sound utterly shit as I tried to work out what's going on.
Yeah, I've experienced that.
But you think, it comes up. You find new things more readily, don't you? I suppose.
I think so. Yeah, and and like just doing things as you said, like changing the tuning, can really unlock a lot of stuff. Especially if you play in open tunings. There is this effect where you'll get sympathetic resonance of the unfretted strings, which means that even if you're playing identical notes, but in a guitar that's tuned differently, it sounds different because you've got all the other notes ringing differently in resonance, which is interesting. Like, for example, I always notice that if you're just playing a major riff in a guitar that's tuned to a minor key and you're leaving the minor note open, you can kind of hear it, and that adds a lot of. That's particularly uncomfortable, actually, of like hearing this sort of murky, like minor hum underneath, quite subtly underneath, like a happy little riff. It's quite a cool effect.
Nice. You can't show us that, can you?
You might not pick it up on this microphone, but we can see it's like. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sort of doing it a bit harder there, but yeah.
Nice. Just so just interesting. Well, I don't know. Interesting, such a bland word, isn't it? But yeah, interesting textures that you're creating there.
Evocative.
What was the word that you used earlier? I got it up.
Bucolic. It just means like it's like pastoral, isn't it? It's like bucolic, green fields and pretty cows and.
Fantastic, amazing. I'll ask you to tell me that again because I can remember it. That's why I have such a bad vocabulary. Maybe it'd be nice to know how you sort of arrived at the solo guitar thing. Do you know what I mean? Like what sort of?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so yeah, I was a guitar player. I played in punk bands, for for a long time, many years, and then kind of by way of those very cheap CDs you could get at HMV that were blues roots of blah, and they would just shove anyone. Didn't really matter. Some popular artist, and then they would choose a selection of tracks, and they were really great. You had to, they were great blues compilations. And you get stuff like Mississippi John Hurt, Blind Boy Fuller, guys like that. Really great alternating thumb pickers. And as a guitar player, hearing that, I actually assumed originally, especially John Hurt was kind of the first person I learned to play. When I first heard John Hurt, I thought it was two guitar players playing together. So when you discover, oh, there's just one guy, you immediately you want to learn to play in that style because it's super cool. So I did. But then, I guess I had a big old book, and it included some tunes in open tunings. So I discovered open tunings, kind of got into that scene. But I'm pretty bad at learning other people's songs wholesale. I've just got no attention span for it, and I won't remember it. So I always end up learning little bits and then just sort of writing my own pieces because I can remember my own pieces. And I'm not a singer, so I found I was writing slightly more, I guess, intricate pieces of music because it's it doesn't have to go into vocals, right? It's kind of its own thing. So I was writing, instrumental finger picking blues pieces, completely unaware of the existence of like John Fahey until someone played me John Fahey. I was like, oh, this is like a whole thing, and it kind of, I guess, that maybe gave me the idea that someone other than me might be interested in this weird music that I was writing. So I just started playing. I started like opening. I was in some folk bands, and I started being the opening act, just playing instrumental guitar music, and just kind of went from there, really.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think so many people aren't actually aware of the whole John Fahey and American primitive kind of genre as a whole, isn't it? It's kind of
it's surprising. Even people who they like it's interesting. See, people like it and they've never heard of John Fahey.
Yeah, there's a biography, isn't there?
There's his. It's not really an autobiography. There's his book. Well, he has a couple of books, but there's that one that's How Bluegrass Music Destroyed My Life, which is stories by John Fahey. Really? They're sort of autobiographical, but they're also probably 50% made up. Okay. It's really interesting. Well, maybe not. Who knows? I think it's quite a contentious issue as to how much of that book is real or fake. I think it's interesting that he titles it himself "Stories by John Fahey."
Okay.
But yes, there's the Dance of Death biography of him as well.
Okay. So was he quite? 'Cause I don't really know loads about him by any means. I just enjoy his music. And actually, my route into it was I was writing a guitar tuition book and was trying to sort of show the range of fingerstyle basically, and I was like, oh yeah, that guy John Fahey. I'd heard of him, and then looked at it, and I kind of fell in love with it, and sadly through like Spotify playlists and stuff, just that sort of that sort of getting a real
everyone's got a role.
yeah. So I don't really know much about him. So, but was he quite a storyteller then, in that sense, to write a book of stories? But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like almost an autobiography, but not really. It's like a fictionalized autobiography of himself. But yeah, he's a wild writer. He's a pretty good writer. He's a sort of a wild character. His writing's kind of like his guitar playing in a way. It's very idiosyncratic. Yeah, it's worth a read. I mean, he's a super fascinating character. Not necessarily a very nice guy.
Really? Okay.
But I don't know. He was like a lifelong contrarian and had some pretty bad attitudes towards women.
Right.
And was kind of pretty, especially. I think he maybe reconciled a little bit early on. He was like if he'd been around today, right, he'd have been an internet edgelord, right? He used to literally say racial slurs on stage to try and get a rise out of his his kind of cool hippie lefty audience.
Right. Okay.
But also, he was like great mates with Bucka White,
Right.
and yeah, he's one of those guys. He's one of those characters from like the mid 20th century that we don't really have anymore. Who are problematic, but you also still kind of like them. But they're just complicated. There's a lot going on.
Was he kind of like a John Martin sort of bit of a mess, but creating beautiful
Oh,
music?
a huge mess. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Alcoholic, pretty overweight at the end of his life. I mean, he died having a quadruple bypass.
Right.
Yeah, and I think he was at one point he was living in like the YMCA because he didn't have any money.
Wow.
It's worth reading about John Fahey. He is an interesting character from a certain period. I feel like we don't have anymore of like musical history.
Because when was the sorry, I'm setting you up now as the authority on American Primitive, so I'm going to just throw questions and
do know something about it.
Because when was that style sort of popular and slightly more mainstream, if you like, or was it not?
Well, it's gone through phases, right? So he was like in the 60s, the mid to late 60s, and then kind of up to through the 70s in the sort of height of his popularity. He was pretty big, for a time. But what happened was, I mean, there were kind of other figures. You kind of get Leo Koch, who was his protege, and guys like we got Robbie Basho and that. But most of the other guitar players in the genre did tend towards that. I'm going to bring back this word, that kind of bucolic, pretty playing.
Okay.
It kind of got adopted a lot into the kind of transcendental, meditation-y, hippie-ish movement.
Into the Michael
all of
Hedges kind of vibes then, over the other side, like big reverbs and...
Yeah, I guess so. Or just kind of hippie music,
Okay.
really. Yeah, but in the sort of, in the more, I've got 17 different types of crystals.
Okay.
Kind of way, on which Fahey hated. He absolutely loathed all of that stuff. Right. But then, he kind of faded into obscurity a little bit.
Because he kept pissing everyone off.
There's a very long story, and there's some things with some of the record labels and that. But then he got basically. There's probably other people involved, but I know Thurston Moore was a huge fan.
Okay.
From Sonic Youth, huge fan of his, and was partially responsible for his kind of resurgence in popularity in the 90s, which is interesting because as well that's, especially for me as someone who was more into the nasty, the kind of noisier based music. From what I've sort of read about him, that kind of seems like he finally felt like he was in his scene. Like he was into bands like Throbbing Gristle and all this sort of stuff.
I mean, I don't know Throbbing Gristle, but from their name, I can hear
you get
them.
the sense of what they sound like. Yeah, exactly. So he kind of I feel like he felt like he'd found his scene. I mean, by that time he was writing electric guitar music that wasn't really, it was different and didn't necessarily, I think people wanted the old style more. I think now some people are kind of getting into it. It has just become a lot more. It just became a lot more avant-garde, and I think some of it was probably pretty bad. But it's just more experimental. But yeah, so he kind of went through these phases, and then on the back of all that, that's why you've got this kind of contemporary. The American primitive movement is relatively big right now, I would say, and there's quite a lot, quite a lot of stuff in Europe as well. A lot of pickers over here. Yeah, it's a long, complicated story.
It's really interesting, and interesting that his persona, and then you talking about you've mentioned noise quite a lot, which is cool to hear because I guess that's the thing that sort of makes that maybe his playing, maybe your playing. Maybe, talking about more punk-esque bands. That's what sets it. That's one of the identifying factors, isn't it? That really sets it apart. Is that embracing noise rather than seeing it as an unpleasant thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is in the contemporary guitar solo movement. That's becoming much more of the thing that you do, as opposed to the sort of 60s, 70s beautiful, transcendental guitar sound.
But then I don't know. But then I think about so many artists who, especially with Instagram, right, where like perfection and.
I suppose I'm talking about the weirdo guitar scene.
The weirdo guitar scene. I want to be in the weirdo guitar scene. That's. Because I think that's what's in my head, and that's what I'm sort of like juxtaposing it with. That sort of everything must be perfect, every note must fall here, and whereas over here with you guys,
I got no chance of that.
But it's just really interesting philosophically because it's. I think it's amazing, and I can't really explain why I think it's amazing, other than to say what I like at the beginning, talking about how like if someone's singing or if they're talking, if they're upset about something, the voice sort of breaks, and there's like a fragility to it, and it's not perfect, it's broken, and so it feels more sort of human. But most people learning guitar are like desperately trying to make every note sound perfect. If they're sat with their guitar teacher, and it will be like, oh, you're getting a bit overexcited there when you're strumming that song because it can hear your strings buzzing. Do you want to tone it back a little bit there?
Well, that's why all the greatest guitar players in the world definitely aren't guitar teachers.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, because it takes confidence, doesn't it? I think I was saying that earlier. It takes. I'm not trying to imply that, therefore, you're like some kind of, arrogant extrovert or something. But it sort of takes some kind of like self-belief, maybe, and just that.
I just know what sounds I like, I guess, and I don't like and I like. I don't know. It's contrast. It's just more. It's more fun. It's more interesting. It is. I think it is just a taste thing. I've never been interested in perfect music. It's kind of I think it's the enemy of what I like. If anything, that sort of perfect. Nothing. I mean, what's the worst thing you can say about, so at least in my sort of universe, is like talking about I was so high quality production on that. Like, fuck off, that's the absolute death. You don't want that. You want it to sound a bit DIY,
That's wonderful. But confidence in taste, because I think so many people have that sort of like lack of, right, that's why people jump on the most mainstream thing, or because it's familiar, that sort of, it's okay to like that guy. Do you know what I mean? Because everyone else knows it.
I don't know, man. Everyone I know is sometimes too confident in their own taste.
Really? Okay. Rick Rubin's always banging on about it, right? In that sort of like confidence in taste, and like creating music that basically you like, and screw everyone else, and if that feels good, go and do that. But I think for a lot of people that's like, oh, okay, that's a big deal to do.
I don't know. It seems easier just to write what you like then, because then you can write it rather than trying to figure out what anyone else wants. That seems really hard.
Yeah,
I don't think I could do that.
yeah. I wonder if that is a barrier, just a huge one of the biggest barriers for people creating it, because ultimately you just would you say that you create music solely for yourself, and then the next bit is just that maybe someone will like it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's yeah, I reckon it's hard as when you like more as you get further and further into your career. It's like, oh shit. And once I hope at least someone likes this next song.
Right? Yeah.
But that's no one's perfect.
So maybe the power ballad isn't quite on brand. I'll set up an alter ego for that one, sort of thing.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's about. I mean, also like there is a certain level of I do think self-indulgence is rubbish as well. But luckily, I don't like that sort of. Because there's a lot of guitar noodlers in the world, and I hate it. I hate it so much.
Okay.
And but that's interesting, right? Because if I like guitar noodling, I'd probably be more inclined towards indulging it, which is then that is music for you. I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
Why do you hate it?
Yeah, I don't know is the answer.
Why do you hate it? Why
It's boring. It's boring. It's just boring. It doesn't do anything. It just go boo. Like, who cares, man? So you're good at playing guitar, great.
I spend so much time or energy in fact, I reckon about 80% of my role in recording these podcast episodes is trying to convince artists to be relaxed and to speak their minds. But you're just doing it amazingly. Thank you. But there's. Do you think it's? Do you think that's like an okay thing though, right? Because they're just doing it, they're enjoying it, and that gives them some kind of.
It's fine. You're allowed to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna listen. To it.
Yeah.
Like people allowed just because like. I personally don't like something. I don't think it should be struck from the universe.
Yeah, no.
Like,
but do you think do you think energy would be better spent in? Do you think it lacks creativity, maybe, or do you think it just because it's technical heavy, right? As well, it's like it's focus on technique. But
I guess, but it's just what people like doing, right? So I'm being kind of mean, but it's what you like. If you like playing all the perfect notes, and that's what you enjoy, right? About playing guitar or writing a piece of music, then that's fine. I just don't like that personally. I think it's boring, but that's fine. I'm sure a lot of people think what I do is crap. That's fine.
Yeah. The two things
it's a
can
whole
exist.
thing here, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. When you practice, how much attention do you give to technique, and do you think in a technical way, or is it like in a textural, emotional, more abstract way, do you think?
It's kind of abstract. I don't even really practice per se. I'm usually just like writing music kind of constantly, or if it's like a new piece, I'll be sort of practicing it a little bit, I guess, in order to get it ready to play like on a record or live. But no, there's not really technique to it. I mean, sometimes I can hear what I want it to sound like, and it's like physically difficult. So that will become a moment of I'm sort of focusing on the technique of just trying to be able to physically play it. Like certain patterns can be kind of challenging at times. But beyond that, I'm not like running scales. It's just trying to write music all the time,
And before shows, do you spend time sort of dialing in, connecting with what you're doing, or do you just get out, you rock out? And
it depends. Sometimes I'll make guitar backstage and I'll piss about on it. I mean, that's quite good also for writing songs. Sometimes just I've written new pieces of music just from fiddling about on my guitar backstage. But sometimes no. Sometimes I just leave it out there. It depends on the gig, to be honest. Not everything is physically arranged in such a way that you can do that.
Yeah,
right?
Don't always have a green room and that sort of wonderful structure. It's quite a privilege, that ultimately, isn't it? Being able to have that sort of audience. But I always find that a really interesting thing of where, particularly for when especially when you're starting, right? Like the open mic performance scenario. I mean, that's just some kind of some kind of nightmare gig, isn't it? It's like you've got
seventh circle of hell.
You've got like 2, maybe 3 tracks to get in the zone if you like, and the sound's going to be awful. You've got to wait. You don't know quite. You now go. It's like, but then as you sort of progress up, then it's like, oh, okay. Well, maybe the audience is invested in hearing you. I mean, I think that's always the thing that I love most. If it's a ticketed thing, and it's like, well, this is an easy win. They've paid. Like they really want it to be good.
I guess sometimes I've been to gigs, not mine, but I've been present at other people's gigs, which people have paid for, and they won't shut the fuck up. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. The talking at gigs thing. Have you sort of
a problem?
Is it? Do you really feel it at the moment, or?
Not so much at my personal shows, because I guess my shows is more it's more music nerd type. But certainly at going to gigs that are a little bit broader in terms of the fan base, the talking can be a real problem, I think. I don't know if it's I know I've heard other people talk about it. If it's like a post-COVID thing, people have sort of lost their manners a little bit.
Lost their manners, yeah. And it's a detachment thing as well, right? Isn't it? It's just like something people aren't necessarily so immersed and holding up a phone.
It's weird as well. Well, I've seen people go to a gig, talk all the way through it, and then buy a bunch of merch and pose with the merch, obviously for some social media thing. I'm like, but you didn't listen to the music. What are you doing? And the gigs are expensive as well. I don't know who these people are that they can afford to drop that much money and then completely ignore the thing you're theoretically there to experience.
Yeah, very, very strange. I think it can be just a sort of an experience for people. It can be, can't it? Yeah, maybe festivals sometimes it can be a little bit like that as well, isn't it? It's just sort of a tick on the box, perhaps. Been to a festival. That
can be. Could be good though. Sometimes it depends. I think that really does depend on the festival. Because some festivals, I don't know, they're great because it's the sort of festival that that person goes to absorb as much music as they can. So I don't know. I just played Nelsonville in the States, and that was great. That was that really sitting on a big. It was in the forest actually, but sitting on the grass, very, very attentive, kind of committed. It felt like that that so you get those sorts of festivals. I feel like just people that go to those tend to be a little bit more, I guess, actively interested in music rather than just
going for a festival experience, right? Thing. Which is valid too, right? Exactly. That's to go back. I'm not going oh, you shouldn't do that, but I think increasingly maybe. I don't know. I just have this kind of idea that people aren't so satisfied with just a gig anymore, and maybe that's partly coming from how we're experiencing music is usually in a visual thing as well. So it's just going to a gig. It's going to a festival is more you're going for the experience of being outdoors, being around people, the workshops, the food, the smells.
I suppose.
Pardon?
I don't get it. I like a gig. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. I think we're good.
Thank you.
Been a pleasure. A huge thank you to Ibanez UK for making this conversation possible.